Are these pro-Hamas protesters the new BLM? So there's an article at 770 KTTH. It's by Jason Rantz. And I thought I'd share this with you. We'll just skim through the article here. Welcome back to the channel, Culture Confederacy here. Now, when I saw this, by the way, thank you for watching, subscribing, being a part of this thing called the Culture Confederacy. But when I saw this, I couldn't help but laugh because this is something that we've talked about on the channel for a long time now. And I kept asking myself, so he's just finding this out now, Jason Rantz, that these pro-Hamas protesters, that these anti-Cop City protesters, Antifa, BLM, they're all cut from the same cloth? He doesn't realize that? Now, this came out April. I'm thinking ahead of myself here. This came out April 19th. I'm waiting for August. I'm waiting for the summer. Can't wait for winter to be over here. So it's another one-take video, but let's get to this. So here's the title of the article. Again, it's 770 KTTH. Rants, it's an opinion piece. Are the pro-Hamas Columbia University protesters the new Black Lives Matter radicals? Well, let's see. As I said, I'm just going to skim through this for you. Scores of anti-Semitic pro-Hamas student protesters and activists were arrested at Columbia University on Thursday for trespassing after forming a Jew-hating encampment. You could already see the same script from the Black Lives Matter and Antifa violence being rewritten. How police and lawmakers responded the next week will likely tell us if we're in for another quote-unquote summer of love like what we saw in Seattle. Remember Chaz? The activist encampment formed Wednesday morning. In a lot of ways, it was like Gaza itself. A small group of radicals in less than ideal infrastructure trying to terrorize everyone around them, particularly Jewish students. Near the end of the day, police went in to ask everyone to leave or face arrest for trespassing. Now, they say here that NYPD arrested more than 100 activists, many of whom who screamed children as they were being carted off. They wanted, and that's italicized. Some of these words are italicized. The word wanted is. They wanted to be arrested. These are professional social justice martyrs searching for meaning in their empty lives. And there you go. That's the key to everything. I wouldn't doubt that most of these protesters, quote-unquote protesters, are hired people, okay? Now, you may have some people on the left, and I'm sure there are some hired right-wing protesters, too. I mean, after all, we have two parties running everything, right? But I think you more so see it on the left than you do on the right. And as the case with BLM and Antifa radicals who formed the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, also known as Chaz, they were romanticized by some in the media. So here comes the question. Are the Columbia University student protesters, this is the big epiphany here, starting a movement like BLM? The New York Times presented the post-arrest demonstration and encampment as a celebratory, quote, celebratory event with dancing and pizza, as if it wasn't fueled by hate. Quote, planning to stay all night, they were in a rather upbeat mood, noshing on donated pizza and snacks. Of course, everything's always donated to these people. They never pay for anything themselves. You notice that? An impromptu dance party had even broken out, the report said. It sounds a lot like the media claims that Chaz was like a street festival. Meanwhile, you have members of the squad cheering the activists on. It makes sense. This is their base. And like their Jew-hating mother, I'm just reading what it says here, okay? Ilhan Omar's daughter, Isra Hersey, was one of the arrested activists. She's the epitome of the saying that hate is taught. What comes next is important, and it will mirror the aftermath of the initial protest and riots that led to Chaz in Seattle. The galvanizing effects of arrest. These people love being arrested. They love the media coverage. Oh, we're martyrs. We're victims. Pardon me, let me take a sip of my coffee here. I'm trying to wake up. I got to go to work later here. These activists believe that the arrests were oppressive and over the line, even though they were trying to be arrested. They know that mass arrest impacting their large movement can galvanize other young activists to join the cause. Being a social justice martyr is alluring to the younger, delusioned American, bearing in mind that these anti-Semites are mostly the same anti-capitalists that commandeered the BLM movement for political reasons. It gets easier to recruit younger people who are struggling in this inflationary economy. Well, I don't think the inflationary economy has anything to do with this. You just have a whole bunch of activists who want to stir the pot, cause trouble, who go out there and protest about something that they really know nothing about most of the time. You ever notice that? They go out and they protest over what happened with, let's say, George Floyd. Now, what happened with George Floyd was a tragedy. There's no question about that. Or some of these other people involved in these confrontations with police. Whatever the situation is, I don't care what it is. I don't care who's involved. But they go out there and they protest and they don't have all the facts. And when you interview these people, they sound like idiots. They sound like absolute idiots. Well, the police presence and the arrest do not deter us in any way. 24-year-old activist Layla Saliba, a student from the School of Social Work, at a press conference said, if anything, she continued, all of their repression towards us is galvanizing us. It's moved us. Gratitude is why the next week is so crucial. Talking about this week. Of course, we've seen all these protests at Columbia. And I think, I'm drawing a blank here. Harvard. These radical activists will likely test police and lawmakers in the next week. There are already anti-Semitic protests planned around the country for this weekend. Some in solidarity with the martyred social justice student protesters at Columbia University. And next week in Washington, activists are trying to convince high school students to walk out of school in solidarity with the movement. Activists want to see if law enforcement is allowed to make more arrests. If not, the activists will feel emboldened and continue their protest while recruiting new members to their cause. They're hoping that politicians won't have the stomach for mass arrest of a key demographic for the Democratic Party. If that turns out to be the case, assuming the activists play their cards effectively, they'll be able to take over whatever space they please. So this is a lengthy article. I don't want to read too much of this to you. Like I said, just skim through this. But, you know, I was watching some clips the other day about the LA riots, 1992, Rodney King. The playbook hasn't changed. The playbook, the tactics, they haven't changed. So these rioters we saw in 1992, what we saw with George Floyd with these protests in Minneapolis, all over the country, what you saw with Chaz in Seattle, they're all again cut from the same cloth. Make no mistake about it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. Again, this is an article at 770 KTTH by Jason Rantz, who has this epiphany that these Columbia University protesters, pro-Hamas protesters, they're the new BLM. BLM 2.0. So if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Or go to X, Culture Confederacy, at CultureConfed1 on X. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing called the United States. And you know how we do it here. This is where the past crashes with the present. I'll catch you next time. And you all have a great Tuesday.